the power of connection, I think. Human connection is so powerful. Try and make friends with your clients. There's nothing that is bad about having more friends in life. Okay, please take your stuff. I'm walking out of the office with a box after busting my butt there for a couple of years. That's the moment where it's reality, where you come home, it's like, okay, what am I going to do now?
Now what?
Yeah. I believe that stuff happens, and it happens for a reason, and you've got to just lean in a bit, and you've got to spot when opportunity is there. And if you're becoming well at that, there's amazing things that will happen. And some people go through life and they don't spot these things, and you miss out on so much. Yeah, and they try to come after me heavily, like legal things on my doormat and cease and desist and these kind of things. So
you got the law banging on your door.
I know.
Trying to survive with a new company.
It was on my birthday, I remember. She came down the stairs and says, Matt, I don't want to do this anymore. Everybody was gone. We're sitting at the bar that we had in the office, the neon lights lit, having a drink. I don't want to do this anymore. Can you buy me out?
I just finished a really interesting conversation with my good friend, Matt. He's the founder of a marketing and branding agency called Square 44. He built his company from scratch and has been in business for over 20 years. They have clients in 21 different markets and have worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. He's very ambitious and successful in this industry. If this is something that interests you, please have a listen, like, and subscribe. Okay, Matt, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for taking the time to come on to the show.
No worries, man.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about your company, Square 44. Very successful company, branding, marketing agency.
Yep.
And before we talk about that, I want to kind of get some backstory on you. And I want to start from the beginning, or even before the beginning. And I understand that you were born and raised in the Netherlands?
Yep.
Okay, where did you grow up?
Amsterdam, and then 2 hours to the east. Nobody knows. Arnhem. Small city, and yeah, nice little city life in the beginning, village life.
Village life?
Village life, like somewhere on the outskirts of the countryside.
Okay.
And when I was, I think, 12, moved to a city because get used to real life.
So 12, you moved to the city. Did you have any siblings that came along?
No, it's just me, single kid.
Only child?
Yeah.
Okay, so mom...
Didn't like it. Okay. No more friends at that age. Difficult to make friends at 12, awkward age. So in school, like a little bit bullied, don't know how to behave, right? It's like that awkward phase in life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so you're actually not 100% Dutch, though.
My dad is from Indonesia, but his father is Dutch.
Okay.
So go figure.
Okay.
And they came in the 60s to Holland because of independence in Indonesia. And then found my mom somewhere in church. And yeah. I'm the result of that after a while.
And ethnically, your mom is Dutch?
Dutch, 100%.
100%
Super Dutch.
Okay. And so you guys moved to the city when you were 12. Went to, I guess, started high school there eventually?
Yeah, high school, university after, a different city, but close by, but lived on my own when I did university. And then after that, I kind of left Holland and didn't look back since.
Okay, and you left Holland after you graduated high school?
I did high school in Holland, then I did university. And the first 3.5 years I was, or 4.5 years I was there. And then the last half year I lived in Belgium. Brussels, working for Philips, first job, doing internship there and kind of enjoying city life in a bigger city somewhere outside.
Okay.
And then after that, moved to Asia.
Okay, so you worked at Philips, big company.
Yep.
Big company. And your degree, undergrad degree was what?
I did business communication and then a master's in international business and a master's in like an MBA.
Okay, so you got 2 master's degrees?
Yeah.
One was not enough, clearly. So so again, what were they?
So international business is one direction and the other one is like an MBA program, business and administration. That kind of told us MBA is the title you use.
And then to Belgium, worked for Philips.
Yeah.
How long were you there for?
I think 6 months.
Was that your first job out of school? After, like, did you have
No,
a job?
I've done jobs while I was there, but I was always very picky, finding stuff that was worth trading my time for the highest return.
Okay.
So I've done weird stuff like mystery shopping, going into phone stores and having a fake conversation with somebody who's like, I would like a phone. Which phone could I buy? And how does this phone work? And then basically have to evaluate these people on how they would sell me and if they would give the right advice and see if they hit certain talking points. And that was fantastic for a student that got paid like $50 for one visit. And they'd give you 8 or 10 or 12 on one day.
Wow.
So it's like every 3 months you have to work for a day, and then it's good for the next couple of months. So that was awesome.
That's good income. Good income for a student.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so then at Philips it was only 6 months.
Yeah.
Why so short? What happened?
It was an internship. Okay. So it was applied for an internship. And I was doing a thesis writing, don't even remember the topic, about, I think, CRM, something like this. And I combined the thesis for both masters. So I could finish one kind of graduation thing and complete 2 things at the same time.
Okay. And then Belgium, from there straight to Asia.
Yeah. So I didn't even attend my graduation ceremony because I was already...
No time. You got to move.
I know, right? It's kind of crazy. I got a phone call somewhere. I was in a train. And it's like, where do you want to go? You made it. It's like, okay. North America or Asia? And then they gave me some options. It was Sri Lanka. Unilever had a big operations there. But it was tea. It was Vietnam or somewhere in, I don't remember the city, in the US. But Vietnam sounded pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I felt that was like, never heard of Vietnam. This is like kind of off the radar. So I went there and it was great. You arrive in the middle of the night. There's motorbikes everywhere. This is the pre-car era.
What year is this?
2002. Okay. I came there in December 2002.
Wow, this is strong communist vibe there too, yes?
No, totally not.
Okay.
I loved that place. Vietnam was super open, super relaxed.
Yeah.
I think communism, the only thing you see is uniforms, right? Like old style green uniforms, red badges, and for the rest, you don't notice anything. So I loved that place. People were super happy, super friendly, even though they're not well off, I would say. The GDP wasn't high, income wasn't very high, but people were just super happy. And it was safe. I would walk from one place to the other at night. Nobody would touch you. Everybody was always open and friendly. Polite, super open to foreigners. So it was really nice to live there back in the day. And I spent, I think, 3 years in Vietnam.
So 3 years in Vietnam. And Unilever had a large operation there already?
It's pretty big. So Unilever was in that time in the market for a while, but basically growing very fast because the muscle of that multinational in a market where there is not much competition, they would just launch. And don't worry if there's mistakes, right? They would just adjust things along the way and fix it while we're just get market share first and fix it later, which felt a little bit bad on one hand because you're kind of crushing local brands, but at the same time, the opportunity for a company like that is fantastic. And they would acquire local brands and find a way to improve them and to update them and to put that marketing muscle of Unilever behind it. So it was very interesting to see that. But it is also that big corporate hamster wheel, right? It's like you've got 4 bosses above you. Some bosses take credit for stuff you do. Some are a bit more into politics. I didn't like that vibe. So I didn't stay there very long, but it was very good to be there.
You didn't stay at Unilever long.
Yeah.
About 6 months?
About 6 months.
So corporate life wasn't for you, but you had gotten some experience in the branding kind of universe from that.
Yeah. I mean, you see the client side and you see certain things that totally don't make sense. You've got an agency coming in with 40 people sitting there taking notes and not challenging the client at all when the client is not sure what they're briefing either. And they want a sparring partner at the other side of the table, right? They feel like there's an agency sitting there, tell me what I should do and give me some thoughts, but they would just take notes. Yes, sir. Oh, yes, man.
Yeah.
And I felt that doesn't make sense, right? And you'd have big international ad agencies coming in. It's like an army of people, like a big presence, but nobody speaks. So why do you bring all these people? And that was one of the things that I felt didn't make sense. And I joined an agency after, odd enough. But it was a guy I was living with in the same guest house. So Unilever put me up in a house. This was like a house maybe 20 minutes from the office, 3-4 blocks high. And they just had rooms, maids, guards, drivers, everything that you need. You drop your shirt on the floor and the next day it's iron hanging in your closet, right? Crazy for a young person to get into that life.
Great service.
That's why I cannot go back to Europe anymore. Poisoned for life. It's like, hey, there's food, Sir Matt. What would you like to eat today? It's like, okay, this is like, I'm coming as a spoiled brat from university into this life. It was very well taken care of.
Yeah.
And in that place, there was a guy from Australia setting up an agency in Vietnam. And Unilever was their main client. So Unilever asked this agency, we need proper creative support here for brand development. And I guess they met before. They said, we're going to try this out. We're going to give him some room and put him up in a house of Unilever so he can just help us with projects. And he didn't even have an office. This guy was sitting in a corner in the Unilever office. So, you'd have breaks, you run into each other, and we stayed in the same house together. And back in those days, after it's dark, there's nothing to do, right? So you go out, there's 4 places in Vietnam at that time. So we'd go to the same bars every night, and you'd make a connection pretty fast. Yeah. And at one point he said, look, man, I'm trying to build this agency. I need people. Why don't you join? Because I was talking to him, it's like, this is not my world, right? And I was planning what I'm going to do next, going to move back to Europe and start something else. And just looking about normal jobs, right? Not even thinking about starting a business at that time. So this guy came in and says, hey, do you want to join? And I said, yeah, that sounds fun. We just need to check it with Unilever if they don't feel awkward because they spend the money to get me there. So the pitch was, I'll service the Unilever accounts and I'll make sure that, I understand these people. I've worked with them for a while. I think it's a smart move for both because we had a lot of work coming out doing that and all these people I could talk to in a different way. So it was really, I know some of the stuff they were dealing with because in the lunch breaks you talk about your brands and the challenges. Do you know somebody for this? So when we're working with the brands later, it's easier because you kind of have a connection there. And that is something I brought into every client after that is I want that sparring partner at the end of the table to kind of help me figure out what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Just inhale the curse word on that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the transition was logical and easy. Unilever had no problem with that.
Yeah.
They actually probably liked the idea.
Yeah.
So this guy is now building an agency. You're there on the beginning stages of this company?
Yeah, it's just 2 of us. So we're just figuring this out together.
Wow. So you're getting a lot of startup experience right there.
That's where it started.
Yeah.
That's really where it started.
That's where the spark began for you.
So it was the 2 of us. And when I joined, Unilever said, okay, it's great. We don't have to pay this foreigner salary anymore. And we're going to kick that guy out of the office. You guys find your own office space because to house 2 people is getting too much. Wow. So we basically had an office next door in a virtual service office building. And it was a small little room, maybe 8 square meters, 12 square meters, something like this. It was 2 desks, 2 computers, 2 laptops, and that's it. And we would have basically all our creative run from Australia, from London studios. That it was an international agency with multiple branches, but it was just 2 guys on the ground starting business and meeting clients and doing credentials, doing presentations.
Did you like that? Did you?
Yeah, it was fun.
It was cool
because it's like cowboy style, right? You have real influence. Whereas in Unilever, you do part of the project, but not anything major on the brand. You don't have any strategic influence. But here, everything you do matters. So that was great. And we had a good chemistry, a good vibe. Yeah. And that was great starts.
And were you finding yourself kind of creativeness was coming out somehow, learning that?
This is the fun part. When I was, 8 years old and they have to tell me, where do you got to go, what high school you're going to go in, they said, he's not very creative. And that kind of bothered me for life. And I don't know, maybe that's the reason I got into a creative agency or I started running a creative agency in the end, just to show them, I'll show you.
Yeah, so they implanted this limiting belief at the age of 8.
I guess so. And I luckily refused to accept these kind of things.
Very good.
That's a good one.
It's a powerful motivator.
Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't feel super creative, but I just judged it like a consumer, right? Would I buy this? And that was the way that also when I started my agency years later, the decision, can I do this, right? Branding, there's so much people in suits walking around with fancy speak and different frameworks and models and strategy and positioning. And end of the day, it's all bullshit. It is you're a consumer. Do you like that or not? Would you buy this or not? Do we understand you as a consumer or not? And that's where a lot of people go wrong, right? You don't make the effort to really understand what the consumer wants.
Yeah. So you filtered it down to the most important, the core. What matters the most.
And Dutch directness.
Yeah. And what?
Dutch directness.
Dutch directness.
If it's shit, I'll tell the creative it's shit. And I learned the hard way. That's not the way to give feedback.
It's very honest.
Yeah, but it's not good for designers. Designers are sometimes big egos, but they're also extremely fragile sometimes.
Yes.
Artists, you know this with Art Battle.
Yeah.
I mean, they put their soul in a design, and then somebody says it's shit, they're fucked for months.
You have to be mindful how you speak to them.
Exactly.
Yes.
I did my little, a training session in Australia. And Matt, come in the room, give some feedback on this. I don't like this, I don't like that. And they pulled me out right away. Says, don't speak like that. This is not the right way. But hey, my first exposure being around actual designers.
Yeah.
In the Vietnam office, there were no people around. It's just on the phone. And a lot of stuff gets filtered, right? We didn't have video calls back then. It's just literally the phone. It's like, hey, design 1A. Yeah, the one with the pink girl in it. Can you change that a little bit?
Yeah, so more technical, like analysis sort of on that front.
Yeah.
This agency with this Australian, how long did you work for him?
I think it was 3 or 4 years.
Okay. And so where did that evolve into, like towards the end? Was he growing his business? Was it getting
big?
We
were growing insanely fast because just imagine we're in Vietnam and the only agency that does brand design. So we were the first ones into Vinamilk, which is the biggest Vietnam dairy company.
Okay.
It's one of the top 10 biggest companies in the world in dairy today, not because we made it that, well, maybe.
Yeah.
But you're sitting there like, this is hardcore socialist kind of government style. You've got this long table and there's 40 people sitting on both sides. And here we come to present some work. And, sometimes you have a party the night before, so you're just barely putting yourself together. It was fun that day. It was really cowboy style. So we're standing there like a little bit hungover and trying to remember the designs we're going to present, trying to talk a rationale together. And at the end of the session, and nobody responds during this, right? They sit there like army officers, nodding sometimes, but you don't get any reaction. Because the company owner or the lady that runs it decides, and nobody wants to lose face saying yes or no if that's maybe not her opinion. So
everybody's on their tippy toes.
Absolutely.
Walking on.
Except for us.
Yeah.
Slightly hung over in that presentation, just trying to figure out what we're doing there. And in the end, afterwards, the whole officers leave, the senior lady first, and then one by one they exit the room. And the guy that gave us the project then waits until everybody's gone, walks up, and they said they really liked it.
Okay.
It's like, really? And we walked back next day with 4 projects.
Boom.
And we grew so fast. Multinationals obviously was easy because we're the only agency and they needed that kind of skill. The ad agencies do some of the stuff we do, but they're not specialists in brand design, packaging design, the kind of relaunch a brand, modernize a brand. How do you go about? But there was a lot of demand for that. So we grow super fast. We had at some point 15 people, I think, locally. And we moved from Vietnam to Bangkok because we did more work regionally. And it was at that time from Vietnam to fly to different countries easy. You always have stopovers, so it wasn't easy. So we said at some point we should probably move. Bangkok or Singapore was the more obvious choice. Yeah. And I'm glad we picked Bangkok because Singapore, it feels a little bit different. It's
very stiff.
It's a total different place than the rest of Asia, I feel. Yeah. And Bangkok still has some of that reality in there, although Bangkok is getting pretty modern as well. Right? Vietnam is super authentic. Bangkok is okay. It's a good transition because internet works and there's food delivery and there's convenience. But then Singapore for me feels like Europe and you're almost not in Asia.
Okay.
People from Singapore will disagree. Okay. But I feel the international agencies based there, it's a different kind of atmosphere. And you're not really making that much of an effort to go into the market, to live with consumers, to walk the trade, especially general trade, the markets, to really understand if you're working on a brand, how does a brand perform? So for us, we grew pretty fast and we moved to Bangkok. And in Bangkok, after a while, that team fell apart. Politics came in from overseas. You have to work like a proper agency now. You've got to hire your own studio here. And overnight, you see the quality drop because you have a guy from the UK that they fly in as a creative director to lead the design team. He's probably not the best guy they can find, the guy that couldn't step back quick enough when everybody says who wants to go to Asia. And that guy then hires a bunch of local designers. And the quality is different. And that's one thing we noticed. In the beginnings, we just cherry pick, right? If it's an alcohol job, I hire a guy that is really good at alcohol. If it's a personal care project, there's a girl that is really good with certain cosmetics, personal care and skincare. If it is a portfolio with a lot of different products, somebody who is a bit organized, who can think in ranges, sub-ranges, brands, and how that connects to each other. And finding the right people is, I think, the key thing in our game. And it's not one designer can do everything. So once we hired that local studio, the quality just dropped because you had to do everything with your local team. And I'm sitting there presenting to Coke, and I've presented this background 4 times on a tea project and met what is happening. We see the same style. And that's hard, right? Because you're trying to defend your team and the quality is just not that good. You know that when you see it, but they don't allow you to use the great talent in Australia or in the UK anymore because you've got to utilize your own hours first. That's just stupid. So that's the second insight, right? From sitting at Unilever and seeing agencies don't perform in a certain way they interact with you, sitting there on the client side and sitting there on the agency side a bit later, you see that this model doesn't work either. So what's the right model for Asia? And that's when I left and started to experiment with Square 44.
So you left the Australian not partner, but boss, I guess, and that's it. You started Square 44 straight.
He left also a little bit before I did. That team started to fall apart the moment the UK team came in. Wow. And the vibe was different. There was politics, backdoor gossip, people undermining each other. You're not working for each other anymore. Yeah. And it was a whole different culture. And in a very short time, maybe an influx of too many people with a totally different approach, figuring and don't want to take advice from what has worked for you guys in the last years. No, you just do your job. I'll let you know what I need. Okay. And that's the thing. You don't want to work for somebody like that.
Yeah. And then your mindset was now, I got to get out of this company. What am I going to do next? Were you thinking about that?
I was already starting to plan. So
the planner was beginning.
Yeah. The unhappiness kicked in and says, could I do something like this for myself? So I started thinking about it. I set up a company while I was in the other one. So I had a client that I used to work with who was at Nokia. Now we were in the FMCG space, so anything you buy in the supermarket.
What is it?
FMCG, like fast moving consumer goods. So CPG in the US, consumer packaged goods. So we worked anything in the supermarket, food, bev, alcohol, dairy, personal care, home care. So this was a phone company. I thought, okay, my friend asked me, it's like, hey, can you do a video?
And this is now with your new company?
Well, I didn't leave yet. Oh, so kind of work started to come in before I
kind of
quit.
double dipping, sort of overlappage.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just me starting to lean in, trying to see, is this something I could make work?
Testing
the water and just reaching out to people. And I was just, in general, I was always connecting with my clients and keep in touch, just personal connection, right? So I was talking with them and she said, look, we've got this Nokia 8808, this fancy one actually, is launching and we need some video material for that. Can you do a video?
Great phone.
Yeah, it was really awesome.
Yeah.
I love those little flip phones. And I said, I guess so. I had nothing, right? So I just asked around like suppliers that we used to work with, freelancers, and started to look. And I found a guy that was based in Bangkok who did awesome 3D animations and CGI stuff. He worked for KFC and did movies. And I spoke to him and says, can you do a video of this phone? He says, yeah, I just need some 3D renders. And if they cannot send them a prototype, you send me some technical drawings and we'll create it. And we just did a video for this client. And that was all good until my bosses found out at the agency and says, you're competing with our company. Ooh. Well, the guys that took over, that they flew in from the UK, and they said, you're competing with our company, you cannot work here anymore. And I think they were already trying to rid the old team. Yeah. Because my Australian guy already left at that point. Some of the team members already left. They brought in new reinforcements from the UK to establish their kind of stronghold in the business. It's when the politics got worse. So at that point, please take your stuff. I'm walking out of the office with a box after busting my butt there for a couple of years. Yeah. Still owe me a bonus that they never paid out. So those kind of things happen, right? And that's the moment where it's reality, where you come home and it's like, okay, what am I going to do now?
Now what?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's a pivotal time in your life.
Yeah. I think the biggest worry at that point is, can I actually do this? Yeah. Single person show. I've got connections I know that will come to me, but you have a kind of non-compete clause in your contract, so you can approach these guys for a year. Okay. So what are you going to do? I had a little bit of savings in the bank account, not that much. But then Nokia came in, paid the first bill, which was awesome. I think it was like 60K. Which was a crazy number for a project back in the day.
That's big. So that's Square 44's first client?
The first one, yeah. kind of crazy.
Wow.
And those guys did some repeat work with us. So they had a follow-up project after, which kind of secured the initial phase. But we're not into video production, right? I don't know anything about video production. So I relied heavily on a creative freelance that I found to help me get this done.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back to the core business stuff that I understand, and also the client's network. The bit of a network that I have is in that space. But I waited for a year to make sure I don't do anything that is not right, because you're a foreigner in a strange country, and you don't want to risk anything.
You got to be careful.
Yeah, and they tried to come after me heavily, like legal things on my doormat and cease and desist and these kind of things. So
you get the law banging on your door.
I know.
Trying to survive with a new company, and you have these doubts. But the funny thing about these doubts that you have is, at the same time, you have a global brand that is with you already.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
60K.
It's the power of connection, I think. Human connection is so powerful. And just who do you know? How do you look after them? I keep trying to tell this also to my client service people now. It's like, just try and make friends with your clients. There's nothing that is bad about having more friends in life.
That's right.
And just build your connection. And you do them a favor sometimes, and they'll cover your butt when you make a mistake. And that interaction, if you really live that, it's great, because relationships last, right?
So is it accurate to say that it's not what you know, but who you know?
I think so. I mean, it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
You can talk the talk, but you have to kind of finish the other part as well. So end of the day, there is some credibility in you because they've worked with you in the past and you know how to do it, but you will get judged every time. We're on a project basis, right? We don't have retainers, we don't have contracts. So project after project, you've got to deliver, and you're only as good as your last job. So if you do a big screw up, it's your relationship that will cover. And if the relationship is not strong enough, if the team just transition, that's an issue.
Yeah. So you learned a lot about the relationship side, which was critical for your business.
Yeah.
What year was Square 44 founded?
2005.
2005. Yeah. You started that by yourself, no partner?
Yeah, just me.
Just you. And here you are, just the new world. But it's a familiar world.
Yeah, I brought a partner in, and I set up the company when I was still at the other one. So in 2005, we established. It's going to be 20 years this year in November. And then in the initial stages, when I came home with my box, like, what's the best way to do this? And we, as a company, never had much business in Bangkok. So I thought it makes sense if I bring a Thai partner in. So I looked, who do I know? And there was this lady that we used to work with on some projects. I can't even remember what client it was for, but she was ex-agency, doing some consulting on our own. So I reached out to her and says, hey, I'm starting this thing on my own. Do you think there's merit in this? Do you think there is an opportunity to work together? So yeah, there was interest, and we met and we started talking, and we started to take that a little bit more serious. And we then later said, okay, let's do this together. She had a Thai company, and she changed the name of that to have the same company names on both sides. And then we never really got a proper partnership agreement in place. Definitely recommend you do that, because that was in the end a killer as well for us. But in the beginning stages, it was nice because you have a bit of a sparring partner, somebody to work with. But that ended not in a great way.
Yeah, that was a challenge. I remember you telling me about that story. And you said she launched her company, well, not launched, but she had the same name, Square 44?
She had her own company, was named differently. But then when we decided let's do more work together, she changed the name of her business to match mine.
Okay.
So we could easily represent this company brand in Thailand as well as overseas.
And Square 44, what's the story behind that name?
It was an email address that I had registered and a domain name that I had registered because when I was living in Holland, the address that I had was called Square 44.
Okay.
So
the roots are back in Holland still.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It was just convenience though.
Okay. Yeah.
So I shouldn't say that because branding and names and all that stuff, but
just whatever
sometimes it's practical. Yeah. And there's a story to it, and stories are the key thing, I think.
Yeah. And then the two of you started this company. How did it go in the beginning? It sounded like it went well.
It was good. In the beginning days, it was fine. It was just the two of us, a lot of freedom, not that much requirements from each other. And at some point, we realized, look, working out of a bedroom somewhere or out of a condo is not ideal. And we started to bring in some work. And it was initially, I had some clients in overseas, like Singapore and different markets. And she had some clients locally. And we said, look, I will not touch your accounts and you don't touch mine, but the new clients we do together will just share.
Okay.
And we just started making phone calls. I remember sitting in some friends' agency's office in the beginning, just doing cold calling, and we got the first client in after my first call. I hate doing cold calls. I hate doing sales.
Sales calls, but your first sales call.
First sales call was a success.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Well,
CM Winery,
okay.
and they're still with us.
Great.
First client, and they're still with us. So that's pretty cool.
So you're not bad at sales, clearly.
I don't like to sell.
Yeah.
I think it's more how do you position the value that you've got and where you can help. And it's it's a discussion. It's like we think we've seen some of your brands and we think that's amazing. I think from what we are good at, we can add value to what you guys do.
Yeah.
And hopefully help you grow and scale and bring more revenue in. Is that something we could come in and talk to you about? And
that's the pitch.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a nice soft pitch. Now, you're with this lady. You started this business together. It sounded like you were doing it out of a bedroom or a house or something at first.
Condo. Just an improvised little desk right next to the bed.
Low overhead.
Zero overhead. I negotiated my rent down to about 1/3 of what I was paying at the time because I told my landlord, look, man, and I was lucky, right? There was construction on two sides. So I told him, it's like, I don't think you're going to rent this place out. I'd love to stay here, but I don't have the budget to afford this place. And I really like the place. So I wanted to fight for it. I said, I can probably pay you about 1/3. And I don't know if you're going to be okay with that. And he said, well, stay in the place. If I can find a tenant, I want you to open it up when I bring tenants in or people that want to look around. And if somebody wants it, you need to get out in 7 days.
That's short.
And I said, look, man, that's fine. Let's do that.
Okay.
And every time a tenant came in, I just made sure the windows were open a bit. So the construction noise was very audible. I'm sorry for doing that. I paid him back in the end for all the rent that I saved. Later, I paid it back.
Oh, you gave him, okay.
Yeah, but he saved my butt in a way, right? So it's the people along the way, right? Your first clients, the landlord is being nice. And these are things that it's just meant to be, right? So certain things you just got to go with the flow, and it's meant to happen.
Yeah.
So that is encouraging.
Yeah. And so this is part of your life philosophy or your business philosophy, the fish flowing down the river?
I believe that stuff happens, and it happens for a reason. And you've got to just lean in a bit, and you've got to spot when opportunity is there. And if you're becoming well at that, there's amazing things that will happen. And some people go through life and they don't spot these things, and you miss out on so much. I mean, look at you. You're here. You've leaned in somewhere and moved from Hawaii here, and you have an awesome life here now.
Yeah.
So it's you got to take those steps, right? And not think too much. Some people think too much, want it to be perfect. Just lean in. And I don't know, it probably happened in school. I can't remember exactly moments where that was true. But you do something and then you see some payoff in a not too near future. So you kind of start making those connections.
Yeah.
So I really believe in that.
Yeah. And so it's identifying the opportunities and then acting on it is a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of your success, clearly.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
I think everything is related to that.
Yeah. And you get this, you reduce your rent and you do a business out of there. So you're living there and running a business. That's a deal.
Yep.
Well done. Okay. And then you're like, okay, it's time to get an office. So you guys get an office, and what happens at that stage?
So at that point, we had some clients that would cover kind of the bill. And we got a serviced office in the beginning in the same Regis office where we were with my old company before. So I knew a little bit how that place worked. And it is like a co-working space these days. I think it's like... they have office buildings in different locations around the world, and you just pay a fixed fee. And we rented an actual office there because we started to recruit people because we needed some people to do artwork, to do design adaptation, stuff like this.
And you guys had your first staff at that point? Because
we had 3 people and the 2 of us. So it's a team of 5.
Team of 5. Yeah. And you were slowly hiring more as you kind of
We started to grow, and the service office was just to get out of the bedroom and to just have a place for people to start work. Yeah. And then we started looking around immediately because service office is very expensive. So we found, which was in Langswan at the time, where Vela is at the moment, we found a really cool office next to Winebridge for the people that are still back in that day going out, which was every night party afterwards. So it was kind of a cool vibe, cool area to be in.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we decked that office out and we started to hire, I think we had 15 people at the time. And by the time we were done renovating, we spent a few million baht on renovation. I brought in another guy from overseas who we met online, LinkedIn, I think, or something like this. And he was running an agency in Moscow, in Russia, German national. And he reached out and says, look, I'm married to a Thai. I have my kids living in Thailand. I'm divorced with his wife. I would love to be around my kids more. And I saw you run an agency that is in the same space active as what I do. Can we catch up? So we had a lunch appointment. It was all fine. I liked the guy. He was making sense. He had connections. And we brought him in. And I don't think that combination went well. The ex-partner might have felt a little bit left out or felt like this guy is more important, taking the kind of glory at the moment.
Ex-partner?
Well, she was still there.
This is his wife? Or
no, the lady I was working with,
your partner,
she felt maybe a little bit like this guy is, he's making too much of a wave here. And they didn't get along. And I kind of fought for him because I felt like if we want to be serious about this business, I need another guy that is a little bit older, a bit more mature, who can talk to clients, who knows his stuff. He was really good at production as well. So he knew technical details of projects, which is something I'm not good at. So that guy I felt had a lot of value, but they didn't get along. So the moment we finished decking out that office and everything was done, it was on my birthday, I remember. She came down the stairs and says, Matt, I don't want to do this anymore. Everybody was gone. We're sitting at the bar that we had in the office, the neon lights lit, having a drink. I don't want to do this anymore. Can you buy me out? I said, what do you mean buy you out? There's no money here. It's like it's just people business, right? There's no value in all this stuff. So that was the start of trouble.
The beginning. Of the challenge.
Of one of the many challenges that happened along the way.
And so she wants to be bought out. You have not only you have no money, but you don't even have an agreement that has a mechanism for that opportunity to
Make sure you get a partnership agreement.
Yeah, partnership. Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Partnerships are very challenging.
You need something on how do you work together? How do you share revenue? How do you exit if stuff happens?
Yep.
And clarity on kind of principles or values you have together.
Yeah. And
we just started, right? A little bit naive, a little bit innocent, just, hey, we can do something. This makes sense.
You're excited.
Yeah. But the biggest thing, I think, the most difficult thing is to find a team of people that all get along. It's easier said than done. It's probably the hardest thing of running any business, people.
Yes.
And that was an early proof of that. It's just two people that were good. And they could have been fantastic together, but they just didn't get along.
Your business partner drops this bomb. And now, what are you thinking? What are you going to do?
Fuck me.
Yeah.
First reaction is like, fuck me. We just built this.
Yeah.
And we've decked this out nicely. And what are you going to do? Exactly. So it didn't get too bad too fast. She just told me she didn't want to do this anymore. Just tell me how you want to end this. And I was like, yeah, but we just got started. What do you mean going to end this? I'm not going to end this. So it was over, I think, a course of 1 or 2 months that it got sour really strongly. And the atmosphere in the office was really negative. And at some point, we were both directors in the company. So we need 2 signatures on any decision that we make.
Yeah.
So at one point, his work permit renewal comes up. And she's like, fuck it, I'm not going to sign that. It's like, what do you mean you're not going to sign that? So that really forced the issue.
Yeah.
And I said at that moment, it's like, okay, I'm not going to get taken hostage by this lady, by the situation. There's no resolution that she's going to be happy with except this big sum of money, which we don't have. Yep. And we're not even earning that much. It would have meant bankruptcy instantly. So I thought it was unreasonable. So we kind of asked the staff in an evening meeting on that same day. She wasn't in the office anymore by that time. She didn't bother showing up, just didn't sign for anything. So everything got stuck. So I gave the staff a choice. I said, look, this is a situation that's happening. You've seen her not be in here anymore. What do you guys want to do? I'm going to keep going with this. You can sign a resignation letter and then I'll give you a new contract immediately with a new entity. We had a friend of mine that helped me set up a new entity in the meantime because we got kind of stuck. And everybody signed a resignation letter and said, yeah, I want to stay. We believe in what we're doing. We want to stay, which was very encouraging because at that time, you don't know even how the staff is going to react, right? You try to hide some of this from the staff, try to shield them from it. But everybody signed a resignation letter and says, okay, we'll support you. We're going to go with you. Even backdated their contracts to make sure that if we later have to cut them and terminate them, that there will be severance on the day that they originally started at the first company. And then we moved overnight back to that virtual office, that serviced office.
Back there.
And we rented a much bigger space because we had, I think, 15 people at the time. And the clock starts ticking. We couldn't take any of the assets because if you start to dissolve a business in Thailand, you don't have any rights to the assets. It's something you both own. So we bought 20 new Macs. We bought furniture. We bought fax machines and stuff you had back in the day. And
none of that can go with you.
Nothing.
What about that story about the furniture that was attached to the wall or not attached to the wall? What's that?
So basically that night, we locked the door. We all walked out. The next morning, we started business in the new office. And we just left a note on the table saying, when you're ready to talk, I'm happy to figure out how we're going to dissolve this business. And, well, it took her a few days to realize we were no longer there. And we were doing business in the other place. And then she angrily called me. It's like, what is this? It's like, well, I cannot touch any of that. But I got to move on. I cannot wait for your decision. I don't want to be taken hostage. I don't like the way we're dealing with each other. I don't feel this is the right approach. But this was obviously a bridge too far. I don't know how you say that. It's a moment and the bridge is burned.
Yeah.
So you don't have a good relationship at that moment. So it's more like arguments on the phone.
Yeah.
It's like a marriage gone sour almost.
It's hostile now.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah. Mom and dad are divorced, but the kids stayed with you.
Kind of.
Well done, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it feels bad, right? It really feels bad. And it's like you kind of should have preempted that, but this is just naivety. You don't think about this.
You cannot predict all human behavior. It's just not possible. So it's now hostile, but you're out. You have the business. It's moving forward.
Yeah.
The old entity is just frozen. So where does this negotiation go with her?
Yeah. So this is, I offered to buy the assets. And I obviously bought it at a really low price. He wanted to donate all to charity. I says, well, I want to buy it for a really cheap price. And we had a guy handling the dissolution of this and said to her, it's like, listen, if we are dissolving this and you give it away, it doesn't make sense. Take money for it because any money is going to be good, right? Any money is good. So I bought the assets at a really cheap price. So we had double machines after a while, all the furniture, all the desks, all the tables, all the chairs, books and stuff like that. But we then both split the income, right? Because I was still a 49% shareholder in that business. So she got 51 of what I paid and I got 49. And it was a negotiation over, I think, 2 or 3 months. It took a while. I'm dissolving a company, need announcements in newspapers and things like that. So that takes a bit of time. But at the end of the day, it was good. We had a mediator in between and we cut it. And we moved our business from the same night on. We kept that going. But just the admin stuff is a bit of a hassle. We prepared, luckily, an incorporation of a new company. A Thai friend helped me with this. And it was good that we did that in a proper way with all work permits in process from day one, because the immigration department was there the moment she figured out we had an address somewhere. And she was just, hey, there's foreigners working illegally in this country. Go and hunt them down. And they knocked the door. We were luckily traveling on that day as well. So it's a bad timing. They came and the office manager was there, was my friend, and she helped out. Says, no, there's nothing wrong. Look, this work permit's in process. We've established a company. There's capital in there. Everything's fine. What are you talking about? And they left because we did it in the right way. But you've got to be very careful for that because you're a foreigner in a strange country, right? Yeah. You don't want to rub people the wrong way. Same like many years ago.
That's right.
When I left the other company.
You got to be cautious.
Yeah.
And now you're free at this point of her. You guys are done.
Yeah.
The negotiation's over. You are now the sole proprietor.
Yes.
The founder and the owner.
Yes.
How did that feel?
Fantastic. I will never go back to a model with a partnership base again, I think. Because I think there's just too many things that can go wrong. Over time, stuff changes. I think collaboration is something you absolutely should do. But the way you connect and legally hook up, you should find a solution for that. I will never do that again.
You need an airtight operating agreement for something like that, which takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Wow. So now you're free. Now you're ready to go.
Yep.
So
But we're paying a shit ton of money in this virtual office because it's suddenly housing 15 people. I think we burned $250K a month on office space.
Wow.
Which was insane.
That's a lot.
So it was basically me and the German guy going the streets of Bangkok looking for some cool office space. I didn't want to be in a standard office building. I just wanted to find something with a cool vibe, right? You're a design agency, something not too far from my house, ideally. And we found a great place. The place we're still in, like I think it's 10 years, 15 years. We're in that place now.
So that's where I've been to.
That's where you've been.
Yeah, great office, great space.
Yeah, Saladeng one.
Yeah.
It's with Fuel Lumpini Park next to Commons, so you got everything near.
And you moved from the virtual office to that place. Rent went from $250,000 down to?
I think we paid $50K at that time, so 1/5. It took us about, I think, 4 months or so to renovate it. It took us maybe 2 months to find it in the first place. We were literally walking different sois in Bangkok to just look for cool spaces. Anywhere where there's a for sale or for rent sign, we just walked in, started to look around. I remember taking pictures at a kids' school where they had mini toilets standing there. It's like, okay, it's kind of cool, but maybe not this.
Yeah.
But yeah, this building was great. It's close to where we lived. It was downtown Bangkok. Access was easy, SkyTrain and MRT. Mm. So that was great. We spent maybe 4 months to renovate, to make it cool. And then we moved the team in. I think we moved the team in even before the cement was dry on the floor.
Okay.
Just to get out of that virtual office space.
No time to waste.
Yeah.
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 I want to talk about a couple of parts that you were having challenges with in the beginning. And one of the things you talked about was the concern of, can I pull this off? The uncertainty, which is everywhere. Yeah. It's normal.
Yeah.
And you talked about your mom as your inspiration.
Yep.
And I want to know, what was it that you learned from your mom that has helped you succeed all these years?
I mean, she was super positive, right? The most positive mom in the world.
Yeah.
So it's just giving you all that confidence that you believe in yourself. I think that's one thing. I think I told you a bit about getting bullied in high school.
Yeah.
And there was a moment in life that I kind of let that go. When I went to university, I said, fuck it. I'm not going to live life like this. Being treated like shit and just dealing with it. And I didn't like that. So I changed my life dramatically by myself. Says, I'm not going to live my life like that because it's a waste of time. Let me throw myself into something I'm totally uncomfortable with, to be in front of people, to present. That's my choice for why I studied what I studied. I was kind of a shy introvert kid, wouldn't want to speak, wouldn't want to talk in public, wouldn't want to go out and do stuff because you're super insecure at that age. And I said to myself, I just got to confront myself with this because, fuck, you're not going to live the next 30 years and be like that and look back at a life full of regret. That's one thing my mom put in me as well. A story about, she had a big opportunity to move overseas when she was kind of starting her career and to live that expat life back in the, 60s, 70s. And she decided no, because her mom wasn't comfortable with that. And she always told me, do not do that, right? Do not stay here for me. You do what you want. Mm-hmm. Seize opportunity. So I think that's where leaning in has a lot to do with that. It's like my mom put it in together with a lot of confidence. And it makes life easy in a way because I don't go to bed worrying. I sleep every night like a brick. Stuff doesn't stress me out. So I think they called it stress when we were young, and it's mindset issues now. I think it's kind of related. It's the same thing, but to just one step at a time. Don't think ahead too much. Don't make things too big. I think success is about action. Just got to take the first step, and stuff will flow, right? It's the path is not visible unless you start walking it, then it will form. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big thing that has a lot to do with it. And for me, it's like, you walk out of the office with your box like, fuck it, let's just give it a shot and we'll see. And it might not get anywhere. I mean, we had $400 left in the account just before I started calling my family. It's like, I don't think this is going to work. Mm-hmm. Is the basement or the attic free? And can I come back, right, in Holland? It's like, I just might have to go back. And luckily, that's the moment when the first contract got approved. So you've got 4K coming in, a little bit of breathing room for the next, I don't know, in Thailand, I couldn't make 4K stretch a really long time because I paid 10K in rent at the time.
Yes.
So that was, I don't know, these are things that happen for a reason again, right? I feel like having that confidence, having that supportive mom, having these stories put in my head at an early age says, don't miss opportunity. If it's there, just go with it. Seize those things.
She gave you a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And the positivity mentality.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And you talk about advisors and mentors. Did you have any?
Not many. I don't think anybody at that time. I had one uncle who passed away early that I was kind of getting along with and found a new relationship with when I was in Vietnam. And he was kind of excited that I made my life in Vietnam. And he was there for work often, working, I think, for Siemens, German company building power plants everywhere.
Yeah.
But for the rest, there was nobody. And it is something, looking back at it, that's what I'm trying to do now different. We're trying to pivot from our agency model into something else. I think now is the time to surround yourself with lots of people, because 20 years have gone by and we've done this stuff for 20 years now, but you've made a lot of mistakes along the way. And if you have some advisors that are there with you that can guard you for, hey, you might want to put a partnership agreement in place because you kind of need that, dude, right? Some of those mistakes will cost you dearly or take a lot of time. And there's some existential stuff that can wipe you out, right? Like this partnership negotiation, if I would have paid money, would be dead. So it was just not an option. But you might consider that if there's a lot of pressure. You're fighting a Thai in Thailand. Her family is very well connected and
That's a losing
very
battle.
powerful. And you're the little foreign kid here that is just, doing his thing.
Now, I'm curious about a couple of other things. AI, okay? Do you have concerns about that technology, or you don't lose sleep over that, do you?
I mean, you asked about uncertainties, right? I think AI in generally hopefully will be good. There's pros and cons and different stories out there of where it will go. I think it will be a tool. Like internet came out when we were of a certain age and it made a lot of stuff easier, right? Joking about fax machines now and the sound of logging in with your modem.
Yeah.
We still resonate with that, but people now don't know what that means. I think it will be a tool, but for sure it will have a disruptive effect on our business. If we look at our business, there's part concepts, ideas, crunching insights, figuring out how to position, figuring out what competitors a brand is up against, and how do you carve out a unique space. I think this is a lot of human intelligence, gut feeling, expertise, experience, kind of making a judgment call on where you think a positioning space is. And at the end of the day, it's based on variables. So over time, AI can start to probably come into that if you train it well enough. I think the other part is once you have a design made and you've got a concept in place, you've got an idea and you've got some assets, when you start to roll an identity style out, there's tools for that already. There's, you just put your assets in, it mixes stuff up, it spits out different executions. It doesn't need designers for that. If I look at my retouchers in the office, I've worn them already. You're going to be out of a job very quick because I don't need to retouch stuff anymore. I can ask AI to make me a perfect composition of an image. And first generation is not great. Second generation is a bit better. It's starting to get really good.
Yeah, it's early too.
And it's moving so fast.
Yes.
I don't even know what to bet on because you try to work with one tool and before you know it, a total different thing comes out and it's totally eclipsing the other one. Mm-hmm. It's going to be disruptive for sure.
Yeah.
So for us, pivoting out of just an agency role, I mean, the agency business should double down more on insights, on culture, on consumer trends, on strategy, on these gut feel decisions. Because I look at it like a language model is fed with stuff that is out there. I think for us, what we do is forward-looking, and you're trying to create the future of what a brand could look like. And some of that is maybe steal like an artist and you kind of combine things of what is out there. And some of it is just new creation. And I think new creation, it's going to struggle with the most. But once you've created something to play with it and roll it out and to create content with this in a large scale, I think that's where AI will do a big job. And we certainly make revenue on that part as well at the moment. Mm-hmm. So that's at risk.
I don't know if this is an expansion or if it's a pivot, but you've talked about this, like you've been creating and doing launches for other brands, and now you're looking to kind of get into your own brand building business as well.
Yeah.
How do you come up with that shift? How did that happen?
So it's part turning down really good entrepreneurs because there's no model that we could work with them financially. And like we charge a certain amount of numbers for what we do because it's quite detailed. We spend a lot of time on that.
What's the fee for it to come to you as a company?
I think, like, let's say a brand launch project can be anywhere from $25K to $100K.
This is US dollars?
US dollars.
Okay. That's the starting fee to get your
If you,
work?
it depends, right? There's a lot of menu items you can add and you can take out. If you want to do it proper, there's a lot of detail that goes into it. Some of the stuff you could probably do yourself, but many people don't, which is strange. Insights, talking to consumers, looking at the market, looking at competition, figuring out how do you position yourself. If you have the background, you can do a lot of that stuff yourself. But some people have absolutely no clue. They make a product and they need help with that kind of stuff. And if you got to do that proper, it takes a lot of time and you spend a lot of resources on that. So we charge for those things pretty significant. So you imagine you have a startup coming with a fantastic product idea or kind of a rough concept or a product formula, but then they need to create a brand. They want to create packs. They want to create the look for it, a website, all the stuff you need to start selling it in, to look professional, to be able to be taken serious. That's a lot of work. And our model didn't fit. So we said at some point, it's like, look, we are creating brands for big agencies, but one of our spiel in this game is to kind of make it available to everybody. We've set up the agency model totally different, right? I don't think we've touched on that yet. In my age, we built that agency model in Asia, and they said, you've got to work the European way. You hire a local guy, you build a team around that. And I didn't feel that work because your quality is different. So what we did different was we said, all these fantastic designers that we used in the early days when we had no studio, why don't I connect with all those designers? And some of the best guys in our space, they go freelance, they work here, then they're on a contract, then they are available for a while.
And they're not Thai, they're out different parts of the world?
English, German, Australian, American, European.
So you're getting the best of the best in these
That's
regions.
what we try to do.
Yeah.
We try to find who's the absolute amazing creators with crazy experience in alcohol, in big brands, in personal care and home care. And there's amazing talent floating out there. And these guys usually don't have network. So we connect them with clients. So what we do is on a concept stage, we bring those heavyweights in, and clients like the ability to kind of pick what creatives are working on my project. And they like the flexibility. You're not an agency known for a certain style. And if the creative director leaves, you're dead. You have many styles that you can represent. And I think commercially, to me, that made a lot of sense. And it's insane that agencies don't operate that way today still, 20 years after we've started this. But that's something that a lot of clients are excited about. And having that kind of flexibility is what creates a lot of room to explore things. Now, meeting a lot of people along the way and kind of building those connections is something that we also apply to our pivot into the other brands, is we don't only meet great designers, we meet great people working for companies that sometimes lose their focus. If I open a shareholder report of a multinational and it says the number one goal is creating shareholder value, I think you're so far off what you should be doing as a brand. It's about creating fucking user value, right? You think about your consumer first. The shareholder value will come. And there's a lot of really good people stuck in a really bad system, right? And big industry is getting a negative rep. And I hope big industry realizes this and starts to clean up their act before it's too late, because there's incumbents anywhere. There's the startups, there's the entrepreneurs, there's the people with great ideas that don't have the marketing muscle, but they are doing good stuff. And these brands suddenly scale. And that's overnight success. You don't need to be a Unilever or a Nestle or a big marketing machine to crack it if you are really focused on building that value. And I think a lot of brands are lapsing that. And back to the point, we're trying to work with these startups now and find a model that we can work with the guys with great ideas that come in with no budget. Maybe there's an equity for work swap we can do. Maybe we can collaborate with these people. Maybe we can connect them into people that we know to get a joint venture, a distribution deal, a manufacturing deal, kind of route to market in a different market. So that's exciting for us. And on the back of that, there might be opportunities for us to do our own brands.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a great way to expand. Are you experiencing growing pains, or have you recently experienced any growing pains?
With that new model?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very fresh. So we're just starting to lean into that. I was on a holiday for 7 weeks, and the team kind of managed to keep the agency running without me. So when I came back, I said I shouldn't go back into my old role. I should push on this own brand stuff. If they don't need me, then I could free up my time and move somewhere else.
And then focus on the other parts of the business.
And yeah. And in a very short time, a lot of things materialize. So I really feel there's an opportunity. It's going with that flow again, leaning into something, and stuff starts happening.
And has the growth has the growth been consistent over the last several years?
For the agency?
For the business overall.
I mean, we had COVID, right? It was a major disruption to the point of almost bankruptcy.
Wow.
I think a lot of agencies are struggling still with that. And there's a lot of consolidation in the space, offices closing down, relocations happening. We survived it. We didn't cut anybody. We didn't kill salaries. We kind of kept everybody paid. Our luck was we have people in different countries that act as agents that keep work coming in, even though we cannot travel during COVID. The beginning was great because all the marketing teams are burning their budgets through very fast. So you have a big peak at the beginning of COVID. It's like, oh, this is going to be fun. Sitting in a house with a pool somewhere and we swim in the afternoon and then you're still making money. But then at some point it drops, right? The budgets stop. Alcohol was nowhere for 2 years. Personal care items, people don't need personal care if you're sitting at home. So don't need deodorant, don't need makeup. So certain industries get harder than others, or get hit harder than others. But besides that, I think after COVID, we've seen a big boom back, thank God. Certain markets are still not great, but we're in 21 countries at the moment. So we are a little bit diversified. Like we don't have, like if one market totally drops out, then we can survive because there's others that we have.
And how are you tapping into these other markets? Like you have sales teams that pick up the phone and they're...
So in 2 countries, we have agents that are, in some cases, ex-clients or people that really like what we do. And we've meet them and we build a relationship there. And they say, hey, I might have connections. I'll open the doors for you into certain clients. And we'll set up meetings and I'll help where it's needed. And we give them a kind of fee.
Yeah.
And then in other markets, it's just let's go to this market and spend some time there. And it's often clients that travel from one company to the other, or some client that is at a multinational goes back to his home country. And yeah, LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn helps.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes back to one of the surprises that you said that you had from being in this business. It was how big of a network you've been able to create for yourself.
That's the biggest thing, I think. That maintaining the connections that you've got.
Yeah.
It doesn't need that much effort, but just checking in with somebody once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And seeing how's everything. We're still out here. How are you doing? It's especially great if you do that once people are in between jobs, because that's when nobody does that. Right? This is the thing. When you're in a big role in corporate and you are a high and mighty marketing president or something like that, CMO, everybody wants something of you. Your time is scarce. You don't have to deal with people because it's a big machine you're in. Once you leave that, and that's when you then reach out and say, how are things now? Do you need help? And maybe we can help you introduce to another company. That's when you build real strong relationships because that's real. That's when they're down, you're there, you connect with people, you help them out, you kind of make introductions where you can. Yeah. And that pays off in the long run. Yeah. So I really believe looking after people is a big thing. Our agency model is built on collaborations and this network. The future brand business is going to be built on having these connections with people, and we've built it over such a long time. I think that's something AI won't touch too quick, hopefully.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless robots start to roam the streets that look like me, which would be awesome.
The relationships are absolutely critical, and you maintain them very well.
Try to.
That's important.
Can always do better, but try to, yeah.
And so, next 5 years, what's the goal? What do you got? Any far out-reaching goals there?
Have a $1 billion valuation.
Okay, so $1 billion valuation is the goal. 5 years from now? Okay.
Maybe 10 years.
Okay, 10 years.
Yeah. Okay. We want to build our own portfolio of brands. We've got to be careful that it doesn't compete with clients. And in markets where we might not have that much interest or where we don't rub clients the wrong way, I think I still see room for agency business because we've known that space so well. So I still want to help a lot of brands to kind of figure out how do you position, how do you fight, how do you become better. Our purpose, and I think that's the kind of thing that connects all the things together that we do, is to make brands better. And better means for users, not for shareholders. Shareholders, you'll get your money, but focus on the people that you created for first.
That's the priority.
And there's so much shit to clean up, right? If you go into the supermarket, your deodorant has no aluminum in it anymore. What do you mean? Was there aluminum in it before? Why is my product suddenly have less ingredients? Why do you drop the fill level, but you charge me the same price? There's a lot of BS going on. And consumers are the victims in a lot of these cases. And we got to make sure brands understand the only reason you're here is to serve that consumer. And the moment you forget that that's what it's about, and you start to serve shareholder value or do tactical games or look at your competitor too much, you're dead. And it can go very fast, right? Nokia was a client of ours, but have you seen a Nokia ever since?
It's been a while.
We don't need internet on the phone. We don't need an app store. Wrong? That's what people want, right? Got to lean in. You got to figure out what people want, not what you can make. And I think in our space, there's so much product pushing, but not generating demand. And you've got to think of your user. Are you solving a pain point better than anybody else? What's your superior value proposition? If you don't have that, you don't have a business.
And for your business, what are the three most important things to have? Three most important things that you need to be really good at
For the design
to
business?
be successful. Yeah.
I think you need to be connected with consumers. You need to have that kind of gut feeling. What is going to happen? What do people want? You need to be able to figure out in local markets. There's very specific issues in local markets, and not every Asian country is the same. There's so many differences. So I think the connection with consumers is a big thing. I think the connection with the client, to be able to challenge them if a brief is garbage.
Is this the Dutch directiveness?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yes. And it's a thing in Asia, right? Where you want to find the right way to approach a client and say, look, you're spending a lot of money with us. I want to do a good job, but that's shit. What you're writing down there doesn't make sense. And here's why. And this is what we think makes more sense. So you got to give alternatives and you got to give solutions. If you can do that, the clients that get it, they will be okay with it. The ones that are, how do you say that, riding on others' coattails, they will feel threatened. But at the end of the day, we're trying to do good for them. We're trying to figure out how do you connect that better? What is the next step? How do you evolve? How do you stay relevant? So that's two things. I think the third thing is hard to say. We have connections with consumers. We have connections with clients so you can challenge. I think an attitude that is really pragmatic, that's about getting stuff done, that is about looking for results along the way. I think if we're focused on results and the client is unlocking results because of the effort you make, they'll be keeping you in mind wherever they go next. If you're just an agency burning their budget and delivering some shitty job, there's a lot out there. I will work with somebody else.
Not a lot of repeat business there then.
There's not much loyalty in the space.
Okay. Wow.
There's no loyalty, actually.
Loyalty.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good, Matt. Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely, man. Cool.